You know, at the debate the other night, one of my well-known supporters, Mark Cuban, was there in the front row. And he really, I think, unsettled my opponent. But I'll tell you, Mark Cuban's a real billionaire who actually uses profit sharing.
Well, it does help to have a real member of the Billionaires Club on your side when you're going after Donald Trump. I had a chance to talk to Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban on Friday about the state of the race, Monday's debate, and trolling Trump from the front row. Mark Cuban, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Joy. Thanks for having me.
All right, so we have been dying to talk with you. I've been dying to talk with you because you are among, I would put you in the top 3 trolls of Donald Trump. You seem to be able to get under his skin like only Elizabeth Warren and Hillary Clinton and apparently Alicia Machado do. What do you suppose is the reason that he is so excitable?
He just has thin skin. I mean, that's just who he is. And I think it has a lot to do with his own personal insecurities. I always try, the more he talks about something, typically the less secure he is about that subject or topic. And I just try to have fun with it, knowing that it's going to drive him crazy. And
when you talk about the topics that make him the most insecure, I think most people would agree that one of them is the questions of his wealth. And you, of course, sir, are a very wealthy man. And one of the reasons I think that you do get to him is that he's got this kind of psychological makeup that feels that wealthier people are looking down on him. There was this moment in the debate with Hillary Clinton, in that first debate, where he had been pretty good for about 20 minutes, and then she mentioned the $14 million he inherited from his father and the fact that he might not be that rich.
So you've got to ask yourself, why won't he release his tax returns? And I think there may be a couple of reasons. First, maybe he's not as rich as he says he is.
Why do you think that that moment produced what really most people would agree is kind of the unraveling that took place for the rest of that 90 minutes?
Because it created a direct question of everything that he said up to that moment, which was it was only a small $1 million loan compared to like my dad giving me 20 bucks a week, but he got only a small $1 million loan to start his career. And once she challenged that and pointed out that he was off by so much, I think that really got to him. Plus, you know, being in the audience, you could hear a little giggle coming from the audience at that point, and I think that just escalated things for him, and then it was Katie barred the door from there.
Well, now you were famously invited to the debate by the Clinton camp. We see this as one of the other examples of them trolling Donald Trump by having you there in the audience. Do you think that he was able to see you? Were you making eye contact with him? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I don't think he was necessarily making eye contact, but he certainly saw me, and you know, his family, who was just right across the aisle, saw me. And Rudy Giuliani, when he saw me, all I could hear him say was, "What's he doing here?" So they were certainly aware that I was there. But I mean, I don't think it really impacted his performance. I know what Secretary Clinton said. I think, you know, hearing the audience react negatively and actually with amusement to a lot of the things he was saying at points that he didn't expect that response. I think that plus Secretary Clinton's egging him on and baiting him, that was just a combustible combination.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit more about his sort of wealth fixation, but what did you make of his response to your invite being to invite Jennifer Flowers? And she accepted, but ultimately the plug got pulled. But what did you make of that invitation?
I mean, that's the ridiculousness of Donald Trump. It just shows he has no sense of balance. He has no situational awareness, and that's what gets him into so much trouble. You know, it's one thing if he could put things on par and come up with some equivalency, you know, whether it's to me or in any situation. He just doesn't understand equivalency in any situation, and that gets him in significant trouble, and just one of the many reasons he's unfit to be president.
Yeah, I think most Americans kind of think of the world as sort of having this billionaires club, that, right, people who are as wealthy as you guys are all know each other. we won't expose too much about it, no inside secrets, but do you think Donald Trump is as rich as he says he is? He said he's worth $10 billion. Forbes recently came out and said he's worth maybe $3.3 billion. What do you think?
No, I mean, look, so being rich is a great thing, but there's two different types of rich. There's cash rich and having liquidity, and there's asset rich and being poor. I would say that you can value Donald's assets in a lot of different ways and come up with a net worth of a lot of different numbers. But one thing you can't revalue is his liquidity and how much cash he has, because he has to declare that in his FEC statements. And if you don't have liquidity, it means you can't buy things, you can't do things. And I'll give you a perfect example. He's bragging about how much money he's getting from little contributors, the $200 and under. From what I've read, it's under $100 million. If he was so rich, why would he take their money instead of just using his own, particularly after claiming so many times that he could fund his own campaign? He's completely forgotten about that, and he has no trouble taking people's last dollars. And so, you know, when it comes to his wealth, I think maybe you can pick any number for assets, but when it comes to liquidity, when it comes to cash, he's a lot closer. He's just not wealthy as he makes it seems.
Yeah, and the scuttlebutt was that you were at least in the running to play Donald Trump in the warm-ups for Hillary Clinton as she was doing like her murder boards to get ready for the debate. You want to confirm that? Did you?
No, I was never asked.
You
never even asked.
Well, if you had been, and you know, early on in the campaign when you were a lot more sort of neutral between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, your name was floated around as somebody who could be a running mate for either one. If you were on Team Trump right now or playing him in a debate, what should he have said in answer to Hillary Clinton's clear baiting of him on his wealth, his businesses? What should he have said?
I mean, look, if anybody's in that position where there's a lot of pressure and you have to keep your cool. You know, you just have to take, just like Secretary Clinton did, you have to take the question, acknowledge that they're trying to criticize you, and then, you know, just deal with it, answer it, and then move on to the next issue. His problem is he just never directly answered any questions. He was asked about, you know, dealing with lone wolf terrorism domestically, and he still hasn't answered that question. And if you're not able to give a direct answer, you're not going to be able to truly deflect or deal with the pressure of that situation.
Yeah. The other moment I think that most people would agree that really threw Donald Trump off is when Hillary Clinton brought up Alicia Machado, who's the former Miss Universe, who he now has attacked both verbally on Fox News in a tweet storm in which he alluded to a supposed sex tape. What is going on with Donald Trump and his sort of attitude toward women?
Well, first, his attitude towards women. I mean, there's a long history there, and there's plenty of evidence there that, you know, he objectifies them and, you know, doesn't take them seriously. So that's one issue. But I think, you know, from a race and a campaign perspective, you can see how flustered he is, and that's pulling him away from his advisors. When he starts ranting about where did you get that information, where did that come from, that goes directly to the heart of his feeling like he's lost control. I mean, I see it in business all the time. When you ask somebody a direct question and all it takes is admitting that there's a problem and dealing with the mistake, that, you know, they question your sources, they question your authenticity. When that happens, that just shows that he's lost control. And the last thing Donald Trump, even in his alternate reality world that he lives in, he can't stand the fact that he might have lost control. And that's why it set him off so much.
We will have much more of my interview with Mark Cuban on tomorrow's AM Joy. But coming up, Jose Antonio.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.